kickstart for the first session, Dr. C. Shivaram Sir, who is a consultant and head transfusion medicine at Manipal Hospitals, Bangalore. And he's also principal assessor and ex-technical committee member of NABH. And he's also editor-in-chief of Global Journal of Transfusion Services. He's also a Lifetime Achievement Award for contribution in transfusion medicine from ISBTI. Over to you, sir. And Kaho is really happy to have you to deliver this particular session, and as well as delegates too. Over to you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Abdul. At the outset, I want to thank Dr. Anuradha, chairperson of CAHO, for letting me deliver this lecture, and also Dr. Gajendra Gupta and Dr. Shami Shastri, who happen to be the organizing chairperson and organizing secretary of this program. In the next 20 minutes, I hope to speak about NABH standards for blood centers. But as we understand, the pathway to accreditation, be it NABH or any other accreditation, starts with basic fundamental quality. It involves quality control, quality assurance, and having a good quality management system. Accreditation is merely a corollary when you have a good quality management system. So before I come to accreditation, let us first understand what we mean by quality. To say in quality in simple terms means fitness for purpose. Now, we wear a certain kind of dress to come to office. Today evening, I need to go for a wedding, but the same dress which I am wearing now may not be suitable for a wedding reception. So quality can be defined as fitness for purpose. And the second definition of quality given by some other people is meeting customer requirements. But customer requirements are not always stated. They are often implied. For instance, when a customer buys a knife meant for cutting a fruit, he may also use the tip of the knife to open screws. And in the process, if the knife breaks, he will blame the manufacturer. So customer requirements often go beyond their stated objective. Then a third definition of quality is conformance to standards, be it ISO, NACO standards, NBTC standards, NABH standards, or drug control standards. So in simple terms, we can say quality is what fits our purpose, what meets customer requirement, or what conforms to laid down standards. So quality also means different things to different people. For example, for the space mission and for lab reports, accuracy is very important. Whereas if you take the airline industry, it is often said that takeoff is optional, but landing is mandatory. Similarly, for blood transfusion, false positives are acceptable, but false negatives are not at all acceptable. So safety is more important in blood transfusion compared to accuracy in lab reports. Then in case of healthcare institutions or other academic institutions, we talk about degree of excellence. So that is what speaks about the quality of healthcare in a particular institution. And we also say quality is a distinctive attribute of something or someone. For example, we can say Dr. Gajendra Gupta is a quality conscious person. Why? Because he runs a EQUAS program for us. Or we can say Manipal Hospital is a quality conscious company. So here we are referring to a distinctive attribute of something or someone. So having understood what is quality, let us understand a little bit about the difference between quality control and quality assurance. Let us look at these examples and try to analyze, is this quality control or quality assurance? A blood center tests 1% of blood for quality every month, which we are required to do, and takes appropriate action in case of QC failure. Is this QC or QA? Second, a blood center promptly tests all bags for quality on a daily basis, not 1%, all bags, and prevents the bags which fail QC from going into the inventory. Is this QC or QA? Third, a blood center carries out regular training for its staff to ensure quality of blood components. Fourth, a blood center has robust quality systems. So the third and fourth are referring to, as you can probably have got it by now, quality assurance, whereas first and second are referring to quality control. Why do I say so? Quality control is a set of activities that ensure the quality of the product, whereas quality assurance is a set of activities that ensure the quality of the process. Education, training are all processes by which the products are produced. The goal of quality control is defect detection. Goal of quality assurance is defect prevention. In the second example, although the blood center is testing all units for quality on a daily basis, it is picking up the units only after the QC have failed. Therefore, it is quality control and not quality assurance. So quality control is always a reactive process after the problem has occurred, whereas quality assurance is a proactive process aimed at preventing the problem. Quality control is the responsibility of a small set of people, maybe the quality manager or the quality team, whereas quality assurance is each and everyone's responsibility. So what level of quality do we want to aim for? Are you satisfied with the minimum standards which are compulsory, laid down for all blood banks by law? Or do you want to meet the minimum standards, which are maybe a little higher benchmarks set down by a third party like NABH and improve continually? This, of course, is voluntary. This is what we mean by accreditation. So you must have heard of various kinds of quality certification: first party, second party, third party. So what do we understand by first party certification? When you want to buy some product, you look for your ISI mark. When you want to buy an instrument, maybe you look for CE mark. When you want to buy some reagents, you may look for FDA mark. These are all examples for first party certification. The second party certification is the assurance given by an association to which the individual or organization belongs. For example, if Indian Medical Association were to give you a certificate saying that such and such a blood center is of good quality, it amounts to second party certification. By third party certification, we mean an independent assessment by a recognized official or professional body that gives credibility to an organization, in our case, the blood center, after a systematic audit of its quality process against established standards. So the third party has laid down standards and the blood center has to measure up to those standards. An example for this would be the AABB quality certificate that is offered in India. Then, so what is accreditation? What is given by NABH? Accreditation is the process by which a certificate of competency, authority, or credibility is given to an organization. And this organization by itself should have the credibility to impart this certificate because it has to have formal accreditation by itself. For example, NABH is a member of Asian Society for Quality in Healthcare, which in turn is a member of International Society for Quality in Healthcare. Therefore, when you get NABH accreditation, you get international traceability. So organizations accredited by NABH, because of their international recognition, it also helps them possibly in boosting medical tourism. So the NABH comprises of a secretariat or panel of assessors. These assessors are you and me working in various blood centers. We audit each other. Then there's the technical committee, an accreditation committee, and if you are not satisfied with them, and also an appeals committee. So before I come to NABH standards proper, I just thought we will understand how any accreditation standards, be it NABH or AABB or any other standards in the world, are derived. Our primary purpose of quality management system is to detect errors. We want a foolproof method. We do not want errors. So how do errors happen? Errors can happen because of manpower, or job descriptions. There may not be adequate job description. They may not be properly trained. So therefore, we have a class called personnel or human resources in NABH. They could be because our reagents and blood bags, the materials that we use are not of good quality. Therefore, we have a class called external services and supplies. Our equipment that we use may not be of good quality, may not be calibrated or maintained properly. To look for these things, we have one clause on equipments. Then there has to be a method by which the material and machine interact with each other to produce good results. So this clause is called process control. So our donor room procedures, component procedures, testing procedures, all these things come under process control. Then you have the environment, which we can call the Mother Earth, which looks at temperature and humidity. Therefore, we have a clause called accommodation and environment in NABH and facilities in AABH. Finally, you have to measure the results. So interpretation can also go wrong. So to monitor all these things, to make sure this entire system is working, we can add the 7th EM, the management. The management actively looks for errors or non-conformances and works towards process improvement, looking at the records and documents, and carries out periodic audit to review quality. With this background, let us now look at the various standards of NABH. So the first standard is called organization and management. The second is called accommodation and environment. The third relates to personnel or human resources. Fourth is equipment. And fifth is the reagents that you use, external services and supplies. Sixth is process control. Seventh deals with identification of errors or deviations from set policies, processes. Eighth is process control, which involves corrective and preventive action. Ninth is documents. 10th is records. And finally, the 11th is internal audit and management review meetings. So let us look at each of these one by one. So the organization, or clause 1, in particularly deals with the legal identity of the blood center or the organization. Then the things which an assessor will look for is, do you have an organogram? And an organogram is a chart showing the relationship of different people in the organization. Then whether the organization has got a defined quality policy, quality objectives, quality indicators, emergency operation policies, or disaster management plan also constitute a part of clause 1. Additionally, you need to define who is your director, who is your quality manager, and technical manager. The quality management system of any blood center essentially consists of an apex level document called the quality manual, which is basically a policy document. It is a compendium of policies which tells you what will be done. The second level of documentation is the quality system processes. So, for example, how do you address fire safety? How do you address biomedical waste management? How do you address personnel? All these things are addressed under quality system processes. This clause, manual tells you how the various processes happen. Then you have the third level of documents, the standard operating procedures, which tell you how blood grouping is carried out, how TTI testing is carried out, and so on. The fourth level of document consists of the records that are generated, the forms, the registers, labels, and so on. So the quality management system, as I told you, comprises of policies, processes, and procedure. So what do we understand by these terms? The policy is a statement of intent, what the organization intends to do. You will have a purchase policy, you will have an equipment policy, a testing policy, and so on. So what is the process? Process is a set of interrelated activities that usually occur at different places that transform an input into an output. It is called cross-functional because the process does not always happen in one station. The ward, the collection areas, the receiving area, the testing areas, all are involved in a process. Testing of blood, transfusion of blood are examples for processes. A procedure is something which tells you in detail, which gives you step-by-step instructions on how to carry out a task. The standard operating procedure for a test or work instructions for equipment are examples for procedures. Now, to illustrate what is policy, process, and procedure, I'll share an interesting example with you. A couple were happily married for 1 year. Then, as usual, the wife complained that the husband was not working. She was the only one getting up early and preparing coffee every day. So they decided the following. Coffee preparation will be shared equally between them, with the husband preparing on even days and wife on odd days. Second, they also wrote down, whoever prepares coffee shall purchase milk, coffee powder, and sugar of the same brand. To ensure standardization, both shall prepare the coffee the same way using the same kitchen apparatus and serve it hot in the dining room at the dining table. They also wrote down detailed steps on how to make decoction, how much milk and sugar to add, and what temperature the coffee must be served are all written down. So it is probably obvious to you by now that the first one saying even days and odd days is a policy, whereas the process going to purchase milk, going to purchase coffee powder, then going to the kitchen, going to the dining room, these are all different stations. So it is a process, and detailed steps, as I told you, step-by-step instructions is a procedure. So you can analyze anything that you are doing in this manner. So coming to clause 2 or facilities, which are also called as accommodation and environment in NABH. You know, location and space, all these are checked by the drug control. We are interested in seeing whether you have fire safety measures, occupational hazards are addressed, whether you have uninterrupted power supply and you are monitoring temperature and humidity, whether environmental control comprising of biological, chemical, radiation safety is adequate, whether you have a good internal communication system, which could comprise of circulars, phone, notice board, IT systems, and social media. So these are the things which are audited under clause 2. Coming to clause 3, we look at, do you have a method for selection of human resources or personnel? Does it cover qualification, knowledge, experience, competence? Are the job descriptions detailed? Is there a training program for new inductees? Ongoing training program for existing people? A training calendar? Is competency assessment being carried out? Does the blood center have a skill matrix? Then coming to personal records and personal health, is there a grievance redressal mechanism? Is there a prevention of sexual harassment committee? Are occupational hazards like immunization and anti-HPV titers addressed? Are staff aware of confidentiality and ethics? These are the things that we look for under personnel. So coming to clause 4, under equipment, we see that the blood center had a master list of equipment. Is there a method for selection, installation, and validation of equipment? Are the work instruction and authorized user list available? Is there a program for calibration and maintenance? Is there a process to monitor and record temperature in case of various storage devices like the refrigerators and deep freezers? Do the computer systems have an alternative? Is the software validated? Is the data being backed up? These are the things we look under clause 4 of equipment. So let's understand a little bit the difference between calibration, verification, and validation, because the title says going beyond the standards. A pipette is checked by company, a 10 to 200 microliter pipette is checked by company using a more accurate pipette to measure and compare the volumes delivered at low, mid, and upper ranges. And also, the person makes appropriate corrections if they are out of range. So what is this? Calibration, verification, or validation? Let's look at the second one. The user performs volume check every day by measuring the weight of 10 microliter and make sure that it is within defined range. What is this? Third, the quality manager also ensures on a weekly basis that the results of tests obtained using the pipettes are same as expected. That means the output of the whole system is working satisfactorily. So you probably understand that the first one is calibration, because not only you are comparing with a more accurate pipette, you are also making corrections if necessary. The second one is verification. You're simply verifying that the weight of the desired volume that is dispensed is within a set range. The third one, you are validating the whole system. You are making sure that the system is working. Therefore, it is called validation.
So sorry to interrupt. So we have last 5 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank
you. Coming to another example, a company executive visits your place to check the dimensions of your NAT lab, its temperature, humidity, electrical supply, and backup. So following placement of your new machine, the company runs a set of controls, calibrators, and verifies the voltage, the current, and the optics. Then you make sure that your instrument is giving you the desired results by running known positive and negative samples in addition to the company controls. So the first one, dimensions, environment, etc., is installation qualification. The second one, where you are making sure that all the parts of the machine are working, voltage, current, control, calibrators are all functional, is operational qualification. You are running known samples to ascertain that the results are correct. This is performance qualification. So coming to external services and supplies, the reagent and blood bag QC, biomedical services, IT services, engineering services, fire services, parking, all these things comprise external services and supplies. Just make sure that every test and every reagent has quality control on a daily basis to adhere to this clause. So under process control, you look at the various things that you do in donor room, component room, TTI, and so on. So in particular, what the assessor looks for is, do you have a policy and procedure for low volume collection, for return and reissue of blood, for receipt of reagents in cold chain, emergency blood issues, proficiency testing program, and so on. This is a very wide clause, which all of you are aware, a technical clause, so I will not go into details. So what is a non-conformance? A non-conformance is detected actively, either by observation or by looking for complaints. But it's more important to have a procedure for release of non-conforming unit. What will you do if the units are out of volumes are out of range? What will you do if the counts are marginally lower? So these are the things that one looks for under identification of non-conformances. So a root cause analysis, as I already told you, involves man, material, machine, method, mother earth, measurement. And the seventh M that you can add probably is management errors. So, or you can also do a fishbone diagram showing the process or labs involved or people or equipment involved and arrive at the root cause of the problem. So performance improvement or continuous quality improvement involves addressing complaints or feedback received, having a complaint redressal mechanism, and immediately you put in a corrective action, which is always a reactive response, possibly after a root cause analysis. And later on, you put in preventive action, which is a proactive response so that the problem does not recur again. So preventive action combined with analysis of QI data, which my quality indicator data, which my next speaker, Dr. Shami, will speak about, leads to continuous quality improvement. So a patient is wrongly grouped as O positive while he is actually A positive. So what is this? Blood grouping error is an example for non-conformance. So what do? You recheck with a fresh sample and release a corrected report. This is corrective action. Then probably you do a root cause analysis using the 6 M's to pinpoint the error. Then you put in a preventive action plan, maybe a 2-sample policy or 2% policy, so that when the error does not occur, this is preventive action. So what are documents? Documents are policy statements, work instructions, calibration tables, charts, rules, blood banking software. All these things come under the title of document, whatever you're using. So one must have a master list of documents. That the documents should be properly numbered and labeled. They must be current. The version refers to the manual proper, whereas revision refers to the sections of a manual. Amendments to documents must be documented, and documents in computers must also be appropriately followed up. They must be backed up, and data must be retrieved, and alternate systems must be available. So records are different from documents in the sense, a document, for example, a donor form becomes a record once it is filled up. Because once it becomes a record, you cannot change it. Documents can be amended, altered. Records cannot be altered. Records don't mean register. They can be forms, file, anything. They include original observations and derived data. So records should be uniquely identified, labeled, compiled, reviewed, and retained as per policy. So coming to the last point in NABH, internal audit and management review. The audit policy and frequency must be defined. There must be a procedure for internal audit and MR. Results of internal audit is submitted to management. Findings and actions decided in the MRM should be implemented by the accountable person within defined time frames. So coming a little bit about types of audit, if you simply stand and observe your people at work, that becomes observational audit. Then you can do a horizontal audit where you do area by area, or you can follow up a unit of blood from its collection till its disposition, issue, or discarding. That becomes a vertical audit. They can also audit a process. For example, the blood transfusion process from end to end, can also carry out bedside sample audits. So these are all the examples for different types of audits. So why do we need to go for NABH accreditation? Of course, you can have quality without accreditation, but the benefits are for patients, improves the quality and safety of collection, processing, testing, storage, distribution, and transfusion, leading to high quality care. For staff, there is ongoing training, better skills, better job satisfaction, and better opportunities worldwide. For blood center or organization, it gives an opportunity to benchmark with the best, gives marketing advantage in a competitive environment, and probably helps to boost medical tourism. So accreditation is a process of ensuring quality and having it validated by a neutral third party like NABH that has international traceability. Unlike licensing, accreditation is not static. The focus is on continual improvement. Accreditation recognizes that quality is a journey. So what was good last year is not good for this year. So thank you. I have tried to cover a large topic in about 20 minutes. So pardon me for running through it very quickly. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for that wonderful insights, full